Hi, I'm Buck, your personal tour guide to the Federal Reserve. I'm here to introduce you to one of the most complex but effective institutions in the United States. But don't worry, I'll explain it all in plain English. Just beside me is a road map of where we're going. Together, we'll walk through the Federal Reserve System, literally. And along the way, I'll show you just what goes on around here and why it's important. By the end of this tour, you too will be able to explain the Federal Reserve in plain English. As you can see, there's a lot going on around the Fed, but keep in mind that the whole is really just the sum of the parts. Basically, the Federal Reserve is made up of three parts: the Board of Governors, that's the building on the far left, the Reserve Banks, the 12 buildings along the right, and the Federal Open Market Committee. The complex design of these three parts is actually tied to how the Fed was created in the first place. To understand the structure better, let's first step back about 100 years. You've probably heard of the bank failures that occurred during the late 1800s and early 1900s. Back then, the failure of one bank often had a domino effect, in which customers of other banks rushed to withdraw funds from their own banks. These banking panics wreaked havoc even on financially sound banks, and sometimes paved the way to serious widespread economic recessions. When Congress wrote the Federal Reserve Act in 1913, one objective of the Fed was to help banks acquire emergency cash reserves to meet such panic withdrawals, so that the shortage of funds at one bank didn't disrupt the entire banking system. This function would go a long way in establishing confidence in the banking system and more stability in the economy overall. Another goal of the Fed was to improve the efficiency of the national payment system by making it easier for payments, mostly checks, to be exchanged through different parts of the country. To achieve these goals, the Fed, then and now, combined centralized national authority through the Board of Governors, remember that on the map, with a healthy dose of regional independence through the Reserve Banks. A third entity, the Federal Open Market Committee, brings together the expertise of the first two in setting the nation's monetary policy. Okay, that was a mouthful. Let me see if I can make better sense of it. Let's take